protein tub that we're fixing to put into these horses. One of the things we've been using quite a bit lately, just to take and make up the difference between what the hay provides and what they need in their daily regimen. So I've got to get that unloaded, and we got to work some horses today. The wind's blowing pretty bad, so I'm just going to get after it.
So much of what we do here on the homestead is physically demanding. And I always tell people when they ask for advice, I say, if you're not inclined to be physically active, homesteading's probably not for you. It really takes a toll on your body. And I know people who are 10, 15, even 20 years older than Polly and I, and they're just starting out on their homestead journey. But if you're not inclined to be physically active, homesteading is going to be more of a chore than for somebody who's used to going and doing all the time and being more physical. This time of year, I really like it. We're coming out of kind of a mental hibernation. The horses are shedding their hair. It's starting to warm up. You know, this here's the first week that I had this little mare, and really starting to get to know her. And she's pretty reactive. She likes to move around. She likes to get in your space. She really hasn't been taught any boundaries. She just likes to walk off, kind of ignore you. But this time of year, when they start shedding out, the sun starts coming out, starts getting warmer. It's always a really good time of year. Your mind starts getting kind of woke up, and you start wanting to feel like you get out and do something. Here I'm just moving her around. She's been pinned up. She's in a pretty good sized pen, but she can't just get out and stretch her legs. So these Arab horses, working them, doing groundwork with them is not about trying to really get them tired or burn off any extra energy. It's more just about seeing where they are mentally. And I think that's probably the biggest misconception, even though people say that they understand. You're not trying to get control of a horse's body. You're trying to get a hold of a horse's mind. You're trying to work with that horse and get through to their brain. So the reason I do groundwork is not to physically control the horse, but use it as a stepping stone, the physical aspects of the horse, the physiology of the horse, to get in touch with their mind. You never really control a horse. You just have to give them a better deal than what they're giving themselves a lot of times. She's real responsive. She's real reactive. She will react first before she thinks about it. And I'm just going through the 5 basic tools: forward motion on cue. Right here I'm working on hind quarter control and lateral softness, trying just to get her to bend and relax. I don't think she had ever been taught to be laterally soft. She didn't understand the concept. She finally does taking and give, and I do it here on both sides, and just getting her to where she's just calm around whoever's with her. And she's got a real issue there with every time you go to walk off, whether you're just walking around or what, she'll just walk into you. She really doesn't understand personal space. And one of the things that I really one of the foundations of our program is letting a horse express itself emotionally. They're emotional animals, particularly one that's really reactive and likes to react first. I'll let them express themselves, and then I'll ask them just to calm down. And one of the ways I do that is by getting them to drop their head. And here again, this is one of the very few first times that I've asked her to do this, and she's coming around. You'll see here in the video, she starts learning to just drop her head and relax. And that's a physiology aspect. When a horse drops their head, and I know I've talked about this before, but when a horse drops their head, they tend to release their gastric juices. A lot of good endorphins are released. They start licking and chewing. They start letting out air. It's like a horse grazing. When a horse is eating, they're generally enjoying what they're doing. So if you can get a horse to drop their head, then their adrenaline glands are going to quit releasing adrenaline, and they're going to calm down. So that's a physiology aspect that helps me work with the horse and get in touch with their mind to get them to calm down. But if you don't ever allow a horse to express itself emotionally, and you just kind of trap it, then you never really did get in touch with that mind. You controlled them, you trapped them. So I let them express themselves, let them move around, let them get excited, whatever they want to do. But at the end of it, I bring them back down that emotional scale and get them to relax, lick and chew, get some good endorphins running, and it really does work. And even in a round pen, if you're working a horse, let it get out there, let it move its feet, let it express itself emotionally, bring it back in, let it know you're not a bad person, rub on it, get it to drop its head, and you'll see a big change in the horse. But the other thing that we do is while we're letting them express their emotions, we will start to modify how they express their emotions. So they're looking for release from the situation, and what we want to do is modify that behavior to where it becomes more predictable. So right here, when she goes to move around, I'll just back her up. I don't like when a horse is excited to go forward, particularly a horse that is more of a ball type horse. I want the horse to express itself in a reverse. Reverse is the hardest gait for a horse, the hardest direction for a horse, and it's the opposite of flight. They're not running forward, they're not running away. So if I can get a horse to back up, then most of the time it's going to use the side of their brain where they're not reactive and they're not blowing up and they're not all emotional. They can't see all the way around them. So getting them to back up, getting them to get in that reverse motion when they get excited is going to help me later down the road, and they're going to be more predictable than a horse that's just running away with itself. I see people try to desensitize horses, and they'll just let them run around, and that reinforces the flight instinct. I don't want the horse in flight. I want the horse to be thinking about what they're doing and try to overcome their fear of whatever it is that we're doing there. And a reverse action is always better than a forward action. This is the first time I'd ever saddled this mare. Didn't know what she would do, didn't know how she would react. Get her saddled up here, get the breast collar on her. She seems pretty calm with it, but she did move around. She was kind of tight. Didn't really buck. And at this point, I don't know her, so I'm taking all the precautions. I just want to see how she's reacting to it, how tense she is, and see what she knows here. So now I'm just taking the stirrup and just kind of flapping it. It makes a lot of noise. It does create a little bit of pressure. There again, I'm asking her to back up. I'm keeping, some pressure and release on her head to where when she wants to blow up and go forward, I'm just asking her to back up, and we're staying in a tight little circle, and she's not just blowing up. And when a horse reacts to anything, you want to just keep doing it until they stop their feet. And I use the 1, 2, 3 method. If I can do it 3 times without them moving their feet or changing position, then I'm gonna quit them. And here she's starting to calm down, so I'm gonna do it here until I think she's calm about it. Then I'm gonna ask her to drop her head. And again, right there at the end, it really doesn't matter what went on in the beginning or how it worked in the, things went in the middle, but how did it end? It ended with her dropping her head, calming down, and being quiet about it. She really wants to run into you. There again, that's something you just have to work with and set boundaries and say, no, don't run into me. And sometimes you have to just keep saying it. Some horses are worse than others. She's kind of a lead mare, I would say. She's used to being dominant and pushing other horses around, so she tries that with me, and I just politely tell her, no, you're not going to run into me. Back up. And she was a whole lot more reactive on her right side here than she was on her left, which is pretty common. Most people make one-sided horses because they don't work them equally on both sides. You see here, she settled down finally. And I'm going to ask her to drop her head. And here in the beginning, you're just in the first stages of it. So you're just building that foundation of what you're wanting to accomplish. And right now the video, the audio is really bad. The wind was blowing, but right here at the end, she just takes a big old breath and lets it out. And it really let me know that she's learning to take and relax and have that last thought in her mind to be good thoughts and good feels. So this is the first time I'm going to get on this mare, and I say I don't know that much about her, so I don't know what she's going to do. I'm definitely not as graceful as I used to be getting on these horses, and she's pretty tall. I'm old and stiff, and I do my best just to kind of get up there on her. She wants to move around, and I really don't care if they want to move their feet when I get up there. I don't come down until the horse stops their feet. I want to make sure that they're not moving their feet when I step down. And I'm going to get up here on the other side just like I would a colt, because I don't know her. Just going through the motions. And there's a couple different camps out there. Some people don't like to have control of the horse. They want the horse to just be calm and quiet and get up there with their head loose. This has worked for me my whole life. I want a horse to be soft. I don't like to trap a horse. A lot of people, say I can bend my horse, but for a horse to be soft and given throughout their body and not fighting me there to where I have to hold them in that position, is what I'm after when I go to get on the horse, because softness is submission, and it's a really good place in the horse's mind. And it allows me to get up on a horse that I don't know and have some control. So if things go south, at least I can take and control them somewhat. I hear a swing up on her, and my camera is going to die. I'm having some issues with it. It's not keeping charged, so I did ride her around and she did good. Rode her both ways, and she did really good. She's a real expressive horse, and that's something that some people get scared of. She likes to express herself, and you know, that expression can turn into emotion, but as long as you keep redirecting their feet and don't let them get carried away with it, these type of ball horses do really well. It's a question of maintaining the horse, not controlling the horse. So just kind of like a 3-year-old, you just keep redirecting them and giving them something else to do, and they do pretty good. I'd had her tied up here for probably about 3 or 4 hours after I rode her. I just let her stand tied with the saddle, and now I'm unsaddling her. She does have a setback problem, and one of the things that I learned from an old cowboy a long time ago, he would just take and loop the ropes around the panels. So if a horse wanted to set back, they could just there would be a little bit of a drag on the rope, but they could still pull back if they wanted to, and they weren't tied hard and fast to the panels. I never like tying horses to panels or anything that's not solid. I want to make sure that the horse, if they need to move back, they can, and not drag a panel off and get hurt. I've seen a lot of bad stuff happen tying them to panels. You can see here how it's just looped around the panel several times, and if she wanted to set back, she could. Here, after being tied up, she's definitely got better about sitting back, but every once in a while she'll feel kind of claustrophobic and want to sit back. So having a good halter on her, a good safety rope, is something that I always do on all of my horses, just to make sure that I don't ever create a problem. She did really good. I ended up the day, you can see here, even though I rode her, I did give her a pretty good workout in that pen there, and had her tied up for 4 hours. When I turn her loose, she's real expressive, throwing her head, and it's kind of funny. She'll turn her head upside down and just run around the pen like she's in charge.
What you doing, Mama?
Cleaning out the chicken coop.
Miss Polly takes care of the
I can't reach back there.
the chicken nesting boxes and cleans out the pens. How often do we do this? About every 2 weeks?
Yeah, every 2 weeks.
About every 2 weeks we clean out their nesting box. And they don't like to keep any shavings in their nesting boxes.
They don't like shavings.
This little white chicken right here is the little baby chick that she raised. The little mama right here. She raised her, and now she's laying eggs. So one of the only chickens ever been born on this place, huh, Mom? So we're hoping to get another rooster. I really like how she mommies. These others haven't shown much interest in sitting. She's kind of broody even when she don't have a rooster, so I'm gonna try and get a rooster in there with her, maybe get some babies out of her. I like the idea of raising our own chickens. I don't like having to go buy them anywhere, so hopefully we can make that happen. So remember, be excellent in what is good
And be innocent of evil.
We'll see you later.
We'll see you later. Bye.